Good
I
catch.
don't know, my key's here.
Good catch.
I didn't write mine. Patricia's got
Who do I
Is
ask
it the
this
6th?
for?
are you sure you didn't get one?
No, I never got even a key to
Um,
my mailbox.
You should have gotten
If
one
Trish-
from.
I don't know, one from my, I
I'll
told
do
you
it.
that.
You got it?
Okay. You can start the meeting in a few minutes, like, do you have it?
Yeah, it's this one here.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna do this one.
6 ED.
And then I'll shut it on.
It's like. Right.
That was it?
Yep.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for coming to our administrative committee meeting. We're just waiting for Alderman Lennon. And then we will start our meeting.
I know, I love this stuff, I really, whatever I can.
And the good thing about it is, like I said, it's the HR centric, so it's not municipal, so you can't always
Okay.
Okay, good evening again. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Is that this one?
We are going to get our administrative committee meeting started. Today is Tuesday, November 29th, 5 p.m., City Hall. I am Mary Beth Aronella, 7th Ward Alderman. Open forum. Nobody here? Okay, call to order. All right, so in lieu of what occurred in July with one of the employees, it was brought to my attention that training at City Hall for employees was close to none. Sexual harassment is a training that all employees do. Fire department, in speaking with the fire department and the police department, they do some DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion training that is state mandated. The library has some trainings as well to some extent. But again, here at City Hall, the employees do not do any DEI training, nor Public Works, Union 506, or the 911 operators. So, I looked into 3 different providers. In front of you, you have our timeline. I had assistance from our communications director, Claudia Ayala, and we were on many Zooms and many meetings with individuals of these 3 providers. Also, I want you to keep in mind that we have over 500 employees, 5+ employees, 530 or something like that. So we needed to find someone that could handle that capacity. So if you look at the timeline here, in July, we had our last committee meeting where we discussed DEI trainings in person. I'd like to do 2 half-days in person for all employees, including directors, from the top down. In August, we started to look into the different companies and see what they can offer us. Our assessment was we needed the capacity to deliver the program within a proposed time frame. Sector expertise is what we looked at as well. Culturally responsive trainers / team. Customized training solutions, and industry specific. In September, we had interviews with the 3 perspectives was one of them. Carmona Strategic Solutions was another, and the Illinois Department of Human Rights was the other one that we looked at. So if you turn the page, we will start with a snapshot of what Perspectives does. So Perspective has a 41-year track record of helping organizations create safe, inclusive, and productive workplaces through our top-tier employee assistance program that the city currently has. Workforce development, comprehensive organizational and consulting services. Since being founded, they have focused on creating and nurturing thriving workplace cultures that are inclusive of all, where differences are celebrated and creativity thrives. In partnerships with clients, they empower all stakeholders to be active contributors in driving towards the desired future state of the organization's workplace culture through open, safe, and candid dialogue. They reinforce those evolutions in culture. They assist in defining and implementing HR protocols, personnel policies, and developing and implementing impactful training programs and workplace practices. As a result, their work creates a world-class culture that people rave about and engagement thrives. Then we had a couple meetings with Carmona Strategic Solutions. Carmona Strategic Solutions is a Berwyn, Illinois-based business operating at a national level, providing clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors with professional development services that include diversity, equity, and inclusion training, leadership development training, team building and communications training, executive search with an emphasis on providing clients with qualified candidates from diverse backgrounds, strategy and strategic planning services with a focus on inclusive innovations to enhance opportunities to engage stakeholders from diverse communities. Designing and implementing State of Illinois outreach and technical assistance program to ensure minority business participation in state contracting opportunities, and civil rights and compliance training for public sector clients and projects. And the last one we met with was the Illinois Department of Human Rights. So the Illinois Department of Human Rights Institute for Training and Development, they conduct valuable trainings to organizations and companies throughout Illinois designed to increase respect and knowledge about various laws in the workplace. All trainings, workshops, and seminars offered by IDHR, Institute for Training and Development, are interactive and appropriate for private sector, local, state, and federal government employees. Their certified trainers offer a wealth of knowledge and experience in all aspects of non-discrimination. A training curricula are constantly updated. Their training curricula are constantly updated to reflect the most current information and changes in the law. This page here talks about, so they offer, and this is even open to the public, they offer mini DEI presentations that all are welcomed to to take. As you see here, there's a DEI overview, understanding microaggressions, understanding implicit bias, understanding intersectionality, understanding race and ethnicity, understanding the lens of systemic oppression. Their next training is coming up next week, in fact. Anyone who's interested, again, they're free mini trainings.
So these trainings here are online and only during specific dates and not available through portal? Are some of these available on a portal if we wanted to roll that out to new?
Sure.
So employees, directors, and so on?
Right, I would think that they're, they have them during the day, during the 9 to 5 workday.
Correct. So I did, at the directive of Alderman Arenella, did look into what is available through IDHR, and so even though we went over 6 of the DEIs that are more specific to DEI, there is a whole portal of many different themes and topics. And if you scan this QR code, it'll take you to that, but I also send you guys in the committee the direct link. And so basically, they offer them throughout the year. It is through Eventbrite. They're all online, they're all remote. One of the reasons, and you'll see that in the next page, that Alderman Arenella wanted to also consider CSS, Community Strategic Solutions and Perspectives, was because of the capacity issue, which you just mentioned. Their trainings are available throughout the workday, Monday to Friday. They don't have anything particularly on the weekends because it is a specific trainer. They do have 3 Chicago-based trainers, which would also accommodate the suburbs, us, available. And so the one that we've had the most communication with, which is assigned to our area, is a woman named Vanessa. And Vanessa is the one that executes the trainings. They're usually between an hour to 2 hours. They're interactive. They include other municipal persons in leadership. So you may have somebody from, Forest Park or, some other municipality. And they're geared towards managers, leadership, and employees. So there's actually a whole roster of different things and topics that the IDHR offers currently, and yes, it is all free, and many are open to the public. So while they concentrate on the government sector, they do have these open to the public. So it's just a matter of making sure that you register.
I will be emailing these to all the aldermen, putting them in their mailboxes. I will also be giving this information to Ms. Ciara Green, and so that way maybe some other employees can take advantage of this. Okay. So this is the analysis. As you see, we have perspectives. Perspectives is the one that I thought would be most valuable to our city. And these are the reasons why. Cultural competency training includes 5 topics, which is cultural awareness, cultural understanding, cultural knowledge, cultural interaction, cultural sensitivity, consultative services support, ongoing action plan on workplace safety to pave the roadmap of current and future initiatives that follow the cultural humility framework. So they're offering a 3-year plan.
Okay.
Now, Carmona, they offered organizational culture, data-driven equity measures, but they had limited capacity. IDHR, again, as we just spoke about, they have those 1 hour to 2 hour mini-series. And again, the limited capacity to be able to handle our city.
And when we say capacity, we are also talking about the ability to take on 500 plus employees
Right.
with 3 shifts and a 24-hour. I know that
Right.
Carmona and IDHR, the director responded with what we utilized as a criteria. And while, you know, they meet many of the other thresholds, they could not accommodate the, you know, extended training that we were requesting. And then they also go by the governor's, what is that, like the current resolution. And so everything is online still into the governor's resolution changes, and then at that time, they will shift to in-person, and then those trainings will change. So we didn't really have, they didn't have a way to accommodate us. And originally, Alderman Arenella was requesting for a training proposal as soon as possible. And so even with that, they were not able to, because they don't know what their training
Right.
is gonna look like in a year from now, whether it's gonna be in person or online. Right now, they cannot accommodate in person, which is what was very important to you. So that's kinda how we utilized it. I did wanna say that when we spoke with Carmona Strategic Solutions, even you made the comment that
Data.
they are great, but we felt that they were more data-driven and
Right.
more it made more sense for CSS to be maybe consulted for like the police department or even for the the Fire and Police Commission, because he works more with smaller
Right.
groups,
Right.
leadership, and I felt that it was more specific to like even
Data.
police culture and
Yep.
things like that.
Data
as opposed to-
applications.
Correct.
That sort of stuff,
Sure.
surveys.
Assessment, so
Right,
we just
assessment.
wanted to bring up, because even though we thought, CSS was good, it was more for like, maybe PD, related,
Mhm.
or even, for the FD and PD committee, commission.
Yep. Okay.
So that's why we.
So overall, we found we have a gap in training. So the gap in training is basically City Hall.
City Hall
Police
titles.
does have DEI training. It may be different than what is here.
Correct.
But the gap is at City Hall
Yes.
and our employees here. So those are the most important that we have to kind of roll out and get a program forward as soon as possible.
Right.
You know, starting with management, maybe elected officials management,
Yes.
and then roll it back down to the employees and how we can do that effectively.
Yeah, definitely. I think that my goal is to start at the top and then work down. Although FD and PD do have some state mandated DEI, and again, the library does do some more trainings. Yeah, definitely start up and then work our way down.
So the PD has some training currently, so sometimes they do have overtime training. So it might be something as we move forward to talk to the chief and people over there to see if they are doing training for whatever 2 hours for this, can we add this to another 2 hours and kind of combine it? So we're not spending as much overtime to get this done. And that might be just something rolling out at and I think we'll get more comfortable once we at least attack it here.
Right.
And understand how long this is gonna take
Right.
and things like that. 'Cause-
Yeah, I predict that FD and PD will take the longest because of the
Correct.
different shifts.
And even here, I think that, you know, even if it takes a little time, you could take some of the staff at a time. It's not like you have to pay overtime, they could do it during
No,
the
right.
day.
Correct. And then.
It's a little different when you're on shifts and things like that, so.
And then when we did reach out to both agencies, Carmona and Perspectives, they did state that they would be able to accommodate that modification
Mhm.
to go into what's already standard for PD and FD. So that's already
Yeah,
something
good.
that has been discussed with them and they agreed upon it. And
Perfect.
honestly, it was only Perspectives that was able to really accommodate,
Yes.
you know, number one, the amount of people, number two, the expertise, because
Mhm.
they were very specific to this. And again, like Carmona was more like a larger overview, more of a macro.
Right.
aspect, and then this was very tailored
Yes,
to municipal workers
Mhm.
working
Yes.
with the public.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yes.
just, and I think that that
Right.
needs to be noted, that this isn't a DEI that's just an overview. This is specific to the duties that
Right.
public-facing employees are
Right.
doing and functioning in. So this gives them those tools to be successful in those arenas.
Yep,
yep.
good.
So, our next steps, after today will be to invite perspectives, in communication with them already, to do a committee of the whole, and have them come and present to council.
And at that point, will they talk about, or have them talk about our voids, where we really need our gaps, and what this is gonna do with our filling our gaps? And then we can we can work with the budget,
Right,
finance director on how we're gonna achieve this, with the expense in the next 2-3 years.
right.
Okay.
I think that you mentioned, grant availability. Yeah, I don't know that we've explored that aspect of this process, or the, what is that called? I know that there's, other funding that has become available through, federal funding programs for DEI. In
Mhm.
this research, we found that this, theme and training is also something that nationally is most likely to be implemented within the next 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
So maybe now too would be a good time to bring this up to, our federal, elected officials and say what is gonna be the support similar to other, federally mandated municipal trainings
Yeah.
in terms of funding, because
Mhm.
that is the buzz amongst municipalities. Many have already either are taking steps to implement this or have already done it,
Mhm.
but we don't
On a
really
yearly
know how do they
basis.
identify the funding for it,
Right,
and how, the federal government is going to support our smaller municipalities when these things do get mandated. And again, it could be 2 to 3 years from now,
Yeah,
but if we start now proactively engaging,
no,
then
I'm
maybe we can-
There
hoping
needs-
within the next year.
yeah, I mean, there
Right.
needs to be a timeline though, too,
Yeah,
for new
no.
employees, cause I work for a couple large companies. So you had 60 days to take this training, from the time you started to the time you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it might be a little different here, but we need to figure out if it's in-house training,
Mhm.
and say we're past the year or 2 years, whatever. When do we have the training for the new hires? You know, are we gonna call them and they're gonna come and do an in-house for 2 people? Or do we do it every 6
Right.
months, or how do we do it? Or
Right,
we
so
talk
after our
about
3-year
trainer.
plan, we definitely
Yes.
have to
Yeah.
talk
That's
about that,
something
yeah.
that he brought up, and I think
Yeah.
with the trainer, the one with the most, I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
Ability to do that would probably be the Department of Human Rights.
Right.
Just because they have, standardized, government trainings. Again, not custom to our municipality, which is the upside perspectives, but either way, on a
And,
Yeah.
and you know what, I mean, I wanted these trainings to be in person versus, online, where you're just hitting next, no one's paying attention. I really want these trainings to sink in, and the reason why I asked for 2 days is because it gives, folks a chance to look back at what they were just, I don't wanna say told, but, trained in, right?
I think it's good to get people out of their comfort
Yes.
zone. It's easy to sit
Absolutely.
at a computer and just,
Absolutely. Next,
read and
yeah,
next,
no.
but when you're away
Yes.
from your position and you're with,
Absolutely.
you're with your coworkers, you're with people, you can kinda, talk about it. You can
So the
walk away
first
from it.
year, everyone will have to do this in person, 2.5 days.
Mhm.
The second year, we talked to perspectives about doing a Zoom, not necessarily just a next, but having like a webinar, having someone there, so you still have that interaction. And then we will later on talk about what the third year will look like.
Well, it's kinda like the sexual harassment training that we had several years ago, if I remember right. We listened to somebody, actually it was good, it wasn't just looking at screens and pushing next. It was at least talking about it and go from there. So there's several different trainings. I think if we just get rolling with it, it's key.
Will we have built-in refresher courses?
Well, it's a 3-year plan, so,
I do believe that they
When-
discussed having what they call additional support.
Right.
And in their draft
Yes.
proposal that all elected officials will be receiving, tonight, you'll see that that's included in there. It's
Mhm.
very thorough.
We should just have a basic, these are the 10 courses you have to take within the next, say, year as a new employee.
Yeah.
This is most important, you know,
Well,
and then from
eventually
there,
we'll have
boom,
some
boom.
structure,
Yes.
yeah.
And then,
We'll get there.
yeah, and managers and supervisors need to go to their employees and say, you got 30 days, did you take that class, did you do this? At least the ones that are elective, the ones that you're gonna do afterwards, so we just need to put a plan.
And another thing that has, been on my mind as well, and has, been discussed amongst ourselves, is the resident experience form. So once we get this DEI, down and settled, we're gonna now then look into this resident experience form. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit, so when residents come in, they're in front of our employee, then, if that resident is not happy by how that employee treated them, they're able to do this resident form.
Or if
experience
they're
form.
happy, you said.
Either or, right.
It's like
Yeah.
a feedback.
There,
of your
it's a
experience.
feedback form,
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
You had a great experience here, let us know about it, don't just tell us about all the bad, let's hear about the good as well. So, but we'll touch on that at a later time, but I just wanted to bring it up because we had talked about a resident experience form, and we'll get into more details.
Yep, same with employee experience form.
It'll go.
That won't go in it, but if an employee has a bad experience with, say, somebody at the window or whatever, they need to document that as well.
Right,
It's
And-
almost like an incident report.
So-
Yeah, that goes to the
Right.
supervisor, hey, I just wanna let you know what happened today.
right.
I tried to de-escalate it, I called my supervisor, whatever it may be, just so it's documented, and I think
Right,
that's
so
key for all parts,
I think it'll
Yeah.
go both ways,
Yeah.
because if I'm the employee and someone comes in and, they're yelling and screaming, but then they do an experience form saying that I was yelling and screaming at them, this will help
Yeah.
a two-sided form, because I will then immediately go to my supervisor, fill out this form, say, I had a customer who's a bit irate, I just wanna document it.
Mhm.
Because, not only do we wanna make sure that our community is being served properly, but we also wanna make sure that our employees are being treated well as well.
Mhm. Is there anything
So,
that needs to include
that's
in the
all I
next
got.
steps?
I talked about the next steps, that was the,
Yeah, is there anything else in addition to,
No.
what you have here?
no, because the experience form, we had talked about.
We could roll
being
that out,
two-sided.
we could
Right.
pretty much roll that out anytime.
Right, right.
What about what you had brought up about the, available trainings at DHR? Is that something we wanna explore for the available trainings through DHR? We mentioned it in this.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be,
that should be basically a
yeah, I'm gonna talk
holistic
to,
approach of where we go
Siaba
with our
Green
training.
about
Yeah.
that. I will discuss with that with her,
With who's for this?
with Siaba Green, yes, because, I believe she's the one who's in charge of the sexual harassment ones for employees.
She oversees
So,
all human resources.
exactly.
Yes.
And
So
with
I
that
will
one, we
talk
might
to
wanna
her
start
about
with
that.
City Hall as well.
I
Oh,
agree.
yeah.
And then once we
No,
get
that
it,
right
once we
away.
get it fine tuned here,
Yeah.
we can then see what police, fire, library, public works, whoever is.
I think
is
they're
doing.
free trainings,
Yeah,
let
Yes.
everyone have at it,
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
but we need to monitor it.
Yes.
Correct.
These are the 5 trainings that
Yes.
we expect you to take within the next 6 months. And then, somebody needs to monitor that, and if it is gonna be the administrator here saying, Bob, you got 5 guys over there that haven't, taken the training, you know, and
Right.
then go from there. So those are things that we really need to.
Just
kind of
like we all
focus on.
have to
'Cause we do
complete
that
our
at work.
trainings in a timely
Okay.
manner, it'll be just the same.
Nobody likes to take.
Yeah, and the great thing is that the portal has trainings available for like managers, AKA leadership. And so, you know, in terms of like what can feasibly be implemented in the
Mhm.
next 2 to 3 months, and I'm giving you
Right.
is, leadership training through DHR in the meantime that we identify the funding for the respective.
So I will mention all of that to our
City
human
admin.
resources, city admin, Ciaba.
Okay, all right, I think
No.
that's.
Okay.
So we'll look at kind of a rollout schedule.
Yeah, we'll do
who's
the
first, who's
cow and
second?
then we'll go from
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
see what you guys think, get some feedback. Again, you will be receiving their information via email, and then you can look it over. And before we do the cow, if you have any questions, it'll be your opportunity to ask those that day.
All righty.
All right, meeting adjourned?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, thanks all.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
You're welcome.
Frank, Jim's, Jim's Frank's, Jim's Frank.
Super news.
He's listening,
Okay.
probably for my.
All righty,
So I'm
thank you.
gonna go and put these in the, okay, he just confirmed. Okay, it's
In
over,
the
it's over,
mailboxes.
it's over.
All right.
In the
That's the
mailboxes.
green.